guys, Charlie here from Reading with Charlie, and today we've got Nancy Drew and the Clue Crew, Book 1, Sleepover Sleuths. What's going to happen? This is a new book, so let's get started reading Chapter 1 of it, which is called, guess what? Chapter 1. Guess what? Wow, Nancy, George Fane said as she raced down the school steps. I don't know how you do it. Do what? 8-year-old Nancy Drew asked. As if you didn't know. Bess Marvin giggled. She tossed her blonde hair as she held her books in both arms. You guessed the lunch in the school cafeteria again. Oh, that, Nancy said with a smile. It was Friday afternoon with Nancy, Bess, and George were leaving River Heights Elementary School. Bess and George were Nancy's two best friends. They were also cousins. The three girls were all in the same third-grade class. They had been friends since kindergarten. It was easy to guess, Nancy explained. The hall smelled fishy today, so that meant we were having fish sticks. And Mrs. Nicholson, the lunch lady, makes potato salad every 3 weeks. What are we having on Monday? George quizzed. Macaroni and cheese, Nancy replied. I saw the boxes behind the counter today. Yummy, Bess said. But I don't want to think about Monday yet. She glanced at her favorite blue watch. It told the times all over the world. Bess loved all sorts of gadgets. She also loved to build her own. It's exactly 1 minute after 3 o'clock in the United States, Bess reported, which means the weekend has just begun. Nancy brushed some reddish blonde hair out of her eyes. What are you guys doing this weekend? She asked. I'm building a butterfly mobile to hang over my bed, Bess said with her blue eyes flashing. There's a neat new game I want to check out on the computer, George said. It's called Space Cadets from Planet Weirdo. And my cousin, the computer geek, Bess joked. And proud of it, George declared. What are you doing this weekend, Nancy? Well, maybe I'll give Chocolate Chip a bath, Nancy said. That naughty puppy rolled around in something stinky yesterday. Nancy, Bess, George! A voice interrupted her. Nancy and her friends spun around. Deidre Shannon and her best friend, Madison Foley, were running across the schoolyard toward them. Deidre was in Mrs. Romero's class with Nancy, Bess, and George. She was nice, even though Nancy thought she was a bit spoiled. Her mom and dad gave her lots of things. She even had her own website called Dishing with Deidre. Deidre wrote about everything on her website, from her dance recitals to her dentist appointments. Hi, Deidre, said Nancy. What's up? Deidre and Madison stopped when they reached the girls. Deidre tilted her head a little and asked, Do any of you guys have a City Girls doll? Nancy, Bess, and George traded smiles. The City Girls were the most awesome dolls ever. Each one came with cool clothes and accessories. They were each named after a city in the United States. I have Chicago Cheryl, Nancy said. The doll with a purple coat and matching hat. Purple is my favorite color. Madison nodded at Nancy's purple jacket and sneakers. As if we didn't know, she said with a grin. I have Oklahoma City Olivia, George added. She wears the neatest denim outfit and cowboy boots. Honolulu Haley is my city girl, Bess piped in. She came with her own little flip-flops and surfboard. Deidre rolled her eyes. I know, she said. I know all the city girls. I have 5 of them myself. Then why did you ask us, Dee? George asks. Nancy jabbed George with her elbow. She knew Deidre hated the nickname Dee. It's Deidre, Deidre said. How would you like it if we called you Georgia? Madison asked George. George scrunched her nose when she heard her real name. No thanks, she said. I'll stick with George. Deidre reached into her backpack. She pulled out 3 white envelopes. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, she said. Bring your sleeping bag, toothbrush, and City Girls doll. Deidre handed the envelopes to Nancy, Bess, and George. Then she and Madison ran across the yard to Kendra Jackson. "What are these, Nancy?" Bess asks. "I can't guess everything," Nancy said, smiling, "so there's only one way to find out." Nancy tore open her envelope and pulled out a card. Her eyes widened as she read the pink writing. It was an invitation to her birthday sleepover on Saturday night. Bess and George pulled out their own invitations and shrieked. "Are we lucky or what?" Bess cried. "We have never been invited to any of Deidre's parties before." "Deidre may be spoiled," George said, "but I bet her sleepover will rock our socks." Nancy was excited too. 5 minutes ago she had 0 plans for the weekend, and now she had a cool sleepover to go with her two best friends. "This is great," Nancy said, "but I wonder why we have to bring our city girls." "Toothbrush?" Hannah asked. "Check," Nancy answered. "Flannel PJs with a cupcake design?" Hannah asked. Nancy peeked inside her big purple backpack and smiled. "Check," she said. It was 7:15 on Saturday night. Hannah Gruen was standing in Nancy's lavender and white bedroom, making sure she had everything she needed for the sleepover. Hannah had been the Drews' housekeeper ever since Nancy's mother died when she was three years old. Hannah took such good care of her that she was almost like a mother to Nancy. "Sleeping bag?" Hannah quizzed. "Sleep?" Nancy cried. "We're not going to sleep, Hannah." Hannah raised one eyebrow. "Sleeping bag?" she asked again. "Check," Nancy said as she rolled her sleeping bag on her bed. "Now, are you sure you have everything?" Hannah asked. "Sure, I'm sure," Nancy said. She glanced at the clock on her bedside table. "I'd better go now. Daddy is probably waiting in the car." Nancy shrugged her backpack over her hoodie. She tucked her sleeping bag under her arm and bounded down the stairs. "I am so totally psyched, Hannah," she called. "This is going to be the best city girls party in the—" Nancy froze on the stairs. "Oops," she said. "I almost forgot my city girls doll." Hannah stood at the top of the stairs. She pulled Chicago Cheryl from behind her back. "I was wondering how long it would take you to notice," she said with a laugh. Nancy tucked Chicago Cheryl under her free arm. She darted out the door and into her dad's car. After they buckled their seatbelts, Mr. Drew drove to the Marvin house to pick up Bess and George. Soon all 3 girls were sitting in the back seat with their sleepover gear and dolls. George was wearing all denim, just like Oklahoma City Olivia. Bess wore a little red silk flower in her hair like Honolulu Haley. "Why does everyone have to bring a city girl doll to the party?" Mr. Drew asked as he drove. Mr. Drew was a busy lawyer, but he was never too busy to spend time with Nancy. "City girls rule, Daddy," Nancy said. "Each one is different. Anchorage Abby is from Alaska, so she comes with furry boots," Bess said. "And Malibu Marcy has real sand between her toes." "That's gross," George said. "But the most awesome city girls doll," Nancy said, "is Hollywood Heather." "Ooh!" cried Bess. "Ah!" exclaimed George. "There are only a few Hollywood Heathers made in the whole United States. She was very expensive and very expensive." "I heard Heather's poncho is made out of real cashmere," Bess said. "That's wool from goats." "I heard she has real leather boots," George said. "And sterling silver earrings," Nancy put in. "I read on the City Girls website that there's only one Hollywood Heather left in the whole country," George added. Mr. Drew slowed down as he drove up a tree-lined street. He stopped the car in front of a huge white house. "This is the Shannon House, girls," Mr. Drew said. Nancy leaned over Bess and George to look out the window. "Wow!" she exclaimed. A red carpet lined the path leading to the house. There were huge lights on the lawn and cardboard cutouts of famous movie stars. Deidre stepped out of the house wearing dark sunglasses and a fancy feather bow. As Nancy, Bess, and George walked up the red carpet, Mr. Shannon snaps pictures of them. Nancy guessed they were for Deidre's website. Mr. Shannon was a lawyer, just like Nancy's dad. Nancy, George, Bess, Deidre called, swinging her bow. Are you ready for your close-up? Sleepover? What's with this? Bess whispered to Nancy and George. I think Deidre's gone Hollywood, George whispered. The flash from Mr. Shannon's camera made Nancy see spots. I don't get it, she said as she blinked. Isn't this supposed to be a city girls' party? Chapter 2. Sleepover Secret. We'll read Chapter 2, Sleepover Secret, next time. I hope you enjoyed it. Keep dreaming, keep reading. Like, subscribe, and click the bell if you liked it. See you in the next video.